So the season's finished and it ended in a little bit of disappointment, really, didn't it? We didn't quite manage to seal that place back in the top four, despite being in a very good position just a couple of weeks ago. In this video, we are going to look back on the season that was 2021-2022. Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over and over again. In this video, we are going to look back on the season that has just finished. Didn't maybe end in the way that we all hoped it might. For a long time, we looked as though we were going to get back in that top four again in the Champions League, which would have been fantastic. We just fell short in the end. But overall, there's been progress in certain aspects of the team. So we've got a lot to get through. So let's get started. So there was a lot of transfer activity in the summer transfer window. Coming in was Nuno Tavares, a young left-back from Benfica. He cost £7.2 million. Also another youngster, a midfielder, Sambi Lokonga, signed from Anderlecht. He cost us £15.75 million as well. The big sign, though, was Ben White, a central defender from Brighton. Of course, he'd been on loan at Leeds the previous season. £50 million we paid for him. Martin Odegaard as well signed permanently, having been on loan, of course, on the second half of the previous season. He cost us £30 million. We bought a new goalkeeper as well, didn't we? Aaron Ramsdale arrived from newly relegated Sheffield United for a cost of £24 million. And completing our incoming signings in the summer window was Japanese right-back Takehiro Tomiyasu, who joined from Bologna for £16 million. Of course, to even that out, some players had to leave as well. David Luiz's contract wasn't renewed. He went back to Brazil. Joe Willock left for Newcastle, where he'd been on loan at the end of the previous season. We got £25 million in for him. And Willian also went back to Brazil on a free transfer. He went to Corinthians. We also loaned out quite a few players for the season as well. Dino Mavropanos went to Stuttgart. Matteo Guendouzi and William Saliba both went to Marseille. Lucas Torreira joined Fiorentina in Italy. Hector Bellerin went to Real Betis in Spain. Reiss Nelson joined Feyenoord in Holland. And goalkeeper Alex Runarsson didn't really work out for him. He went on loan to Germany. So that was our incomings and outgoings in the summer transfer window. So, of course, we opened the season, didn't we, on the Friday night away at newly promoted Brentford, their first game ever in the Premier League, their first game in the top flight for over 70 years. And the first game in their new stadium with a full crowd in as well. Everything was against us that night. We had a few COVID issues, a few injuries as well. And we ended up losing that game 2-0 to sink straight away to the bottom of the Premier League table. Things didn't get any easier the following week either when Chelsea visited the Emirates for our first home game of the season. Again, that ended in a 2-0 defeat. We still had quite a few players missing. Could have been a lot more, actually. Bernd Leno in goal made a few good saves to keep the score down in that particular game. We then entered into the Carabao Cup in the second round stage, the first time we played in that particular round of the competition for over 25 years due to no European competition. We drew a tie at West Bromwich Albion away. Of course, they'd just been relegated out of the Premier League the previous season. We did win this game 6-0. It was a very young West Bromwich Albion side. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang scored our first goal of the season, ended up getting a hat-trick that night. Nicolas Pepe, Bukayo Saka and Alexander Lacazette completed that 6-0 victory. But back in the Premier League action, we sunk to the bottom of the table at the end of August with a 5-0 defeat at the Etihad against Manchester City. Really disappointing performance that was. We got ripped apart really by Manchester City, not helped, of course, by Granit Xhaka's red card, the first of many red cards we would see. So we did actually end August at the bottom of the Premier League. So September then saw the start of a revival, which would see us climb the table quite quickly. We got our first win, our first points and our first league goal of the season against Norwich at the Emirates. It finished 1-0, very nervy performance. It was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with the only goal in that game. We then travelled up to Burnley for another difficult game, but it was decided by a first half free kick from Martin Ødegaard, a great goal that was as well. We then made further progress in the Carabao Cup, beating AFC Wimbledon at the Emirates 3-0. Alexander Lacazette with an early penalty before second half goals from Emile Smith-Rowe and Eddie Nketiah completed that 3-0 victory. And we ended September with a fantastic victory against Tottenham at the Emirates. A really good performance, particularly in the first half. Emile Smith-Rowe, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Bukayo Saka getting the goals. Second half, we dropped off a little bit and Son did pull one back for Tottenham, but it was a great victory. 3-1 success lifted us up to 10th place in the league, actually above Tottenham, who had been top of the table after 3 games. October then, a difficult start away at Brighton in biblical weather conditions. We ended up hanging on for a goalless draw. Crystal Palace and Patrick Vieira then visited the Emirates. Although we led 1-0 at half-time with a goal from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, it took an injury time equaliser from Alexander Lacazette to salvage a 2-2 draw. A very disappointing second half performance that was. We bounced back from that game, though, with a good victory over Aston Villa at the Emirates. That finished 3-1. Thomas Partey scored his first goal for the club in the first half. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang actually saw a penalty saved by Emi Martinez, but he did follow up to score the rebound before Emile Smith-Rowe made it 3-0. Villa did pull a goal back late on through Ramsey, but it made no difference to the final score. We ran out 3-2 winners to move back into the top 10. We then made further progress in the Carabao Cup. We reached the quarterfinals by beating Leeds 2-0 at the Emirates. It was substitute Callum Chambers who got the opening goal early in the second half before Eddie Nketiah sealed that 2-0 victory. And we ended October in the top 6 thanks to a 2-0 victory at Leicester. First half goals from Gabriel and Emile Smith-Rowe, saw us move into the top 6. A good turnaround after that really difficult start. November then was quite a short month. We only played 3 games. The first of those was at the Emirates against struggling Watford. Again, we made hard work of beating one of the teams near the bottom of the table, but it took a goal from Emile Smith-Rowe to give us that 1-0 victory. We then travelled up to Anfield, a ground where, of course, we've not had a lot of success in recent years. And again, it wasn't the result that we wanted. Despite a decent first half performance from Arsenal, we found ourselves a goal down at half-time. In the end, a few mistakes in the second half, particularly from Nuno Tavares, cost us badly, and we did come away from Anfield with a 4-0 defeat. But we ended November back on the winning trail again at the Emirates. We beat Newcastle, who were struggling at the time. We beat them 2-0. It was 2 good goals, actually, from Emile Smith-Rowe and Gabriel Martinelli, and we ended November in 5th place. So December was the busiest month of the season. A lot of games that we got through. Didn't have a great start. We lost twice in consecutive away trips into the Northwest. First of all, at Old Trafford, despite taking a 1-0 lead with a goal from Emile Smith-Rowe, we ended up losing that game 3-2. Martin Ødegaard's equaliser in the second half wasn't quite enough to give us a point. We then travelled to Everton. Again, we led 1-0 with a goal from Martin Ødegaard, but Everton won it with a goal right at the very end from Demarai Gray. That defeat at Everton then dropped us down to 7th place, but we bounced straight back with a home victory over Southampton, which was a very difficult game for a long time. We didn't start particularly well, but a great opening goal from Alexander Lacazette set us on the way to a 3-0 victory. Martin Ødegaard scored for the 3rd match in a row before Gabriel sealed the points just after his wife had a baby as well. So a nice little celebration for him. Then came a really big game in midweek against West Ham. Both teams were battling for a place in the top 4. We did get a victory. 2 second half goals from Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka put us into the top 4 for the first time this season. As we headed into Christmas then, COVID was causing a few postponements in the Premier League, and in fact our game away at Leeds was the only game played that weekend in the Premier League. It turned out to be a good day for us with a great 4-1 away victory. Gabriel Martinelli scored twice. Bukayo Saka added to that in the first half. Leeds did pull a goal back from the penalty spot later on, but Emile Smith-Rowe came off the bench to add another goal to his collection for the season. We then marched into the semi-final of the Carabao Cup with a 5-1 victory over Sunderland at the Emirates. Eddie Nketiah enjoyed that night with a hat-trick Nicolas Pepe scored his first goal since August as well, and young Charlie Patino came off the bench to score on his debut to send us in to the semi-final and a clash with Liverpool. We did end the month of December still in the top four, a really good 5-0 victory away at bottom side Norwich. Bukayo Saka scored 2 more great goals. Kieran Tierney got his first goal of the season. Alexander Lacazette converted a penalty before Smith Rowe again came off the bench to put a seal on that 5-0 victory, and we ended 2021 in the top four. So the January transfer window then didn't actually bring us any new arrivals, but a few players went out. Sead Kolasinac left for Marseille on a free transfer. Callum Chambers left for Aston Villa also on a free transfer. But the big news was, of course, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang had his contract terminated and he left to go to Barcelona. We also loaned out 3 players in January as well. Ainsley Maitland-Niles went to Roma. Florian Balogun went to Middlesbrough in the Championship, and Pablo Mari left for Udinese. But I say nobody came in, and it did look as though that may prove costly because the squad looked quite weak in terms of depth. On the pitch then, January started with a brilliant first half performance against Manchester City at the Emirates. We really dominated that first half. We did lead 1-0 with a great goal from Bukayo Saka, but things went against us in the second half. A very soft penalty conceded by Granit Xhaka saw City draw level before Gabriel was then sent off, and City won it in stoppage time with a goal from Rodri. That then led to a blank January. We didn't score another goal for the rest of the month. We crashed out of the FA Cup at the third round stage away at Championship side Nottingham Forest. They were in good form at the time. We changed the team a little bit. Charlie Patino made his first start, but it ended in a 1-0 defeat with a late goal conceded. But actually, we could have lost by a few more goals on that particular day. We then faced Liverpool twice in the 2 legs of the Carabao Cup semi-final. The first leg was due to be at the Emirates, but Liverpool postponed it due to COVID cases. So the first leg in the end was at Anfield the week after. We did a good defensive performance, actually. Granit Xhaka got a red card in the first half, but we did hold on for a really good 0-0 draw, set us up nicely for that second leg at the Emirates. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great performance from Arsenal that night. Liverpool ran out 2-0 winners to dump us out of the competition. Another red card, the third in 4 matches. This was by substitute Thomas Partey. Got 2 quick yellow cards late in that game after coming on. And we did end January with a really disappointing goalless draw at the Emirates against a very resolute Burnley side, of course, fighting for their lives against relegation. So we did end January out of the top 4, down in 6th place. February was another short month. We only played the 3 games. Again, a few postponements due to COVID. We started the month away at Wolves in what looked like a very, very difficult game. But an early goal from Gabriel was all that proved to be the difference between the sides. Again, it was a good defensive performance after yet another red card. Gabriel Martinelli this time received 2 yellow cards in the same passage of play, and we had to play out that game with 10 men, but we did hold on for that 1-0 victory. Brentford were up next in the Premier League. It was quite a tight game, but we did get goals in the second half from Saka and Emile Smith Rowe. Maybe we should create a chant for those 2 brilliant young players. We ended February back up to 5th place, thanks to a late comeback against Wolves at the Emirates. They led 1-0 for much of that game, but in the last 10 minutes, substitute Nicolas Pepe scored the equaliser before Alexander Lacazette's deflected effort went in stoppage time to give us a victory. First and only time we would come from behind to win a game this season. So as spring started in March, we marched back into the top 4 with an exciting 3-2 victory at Watford. Martin Ødegaard was on target early in that game. Saka and Gabriel Martinelli got the other 2 goals. We had to hang on at the end after conceding a late second, but we did get the 3 points, move us back into the top 4. We then beat Leicester 2-0 at the Emirates. Fairly comfortable victory in the end. Thomas Partey scored his 2nd goal of the season before Lacazette converted a second half penalty. Liverpool then visited the Emirates again. The 3rd time we played them in quick succession. They won again, this time 2-0. It didn't affect our league position. We still remained in the top 4, and we ended March in the sunshine at Villa Park with a fantastic 1-0 victory. Bernd Leno played in goal for the first time since August, kept a clean sheet thanks to a magnificent late save that sealed that 1-0 victory and kept us in the top 4. So, of course, the pressure was mounting in April as we headed towards the run into the season. We started the month with a difficult-looking trip to Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace and it was a really poor performance from Arsenal. We came away with a 3-0 defeat, which put a dent in our top four hopes. In fact, knocked us down to 5th place. Didn't get any better either when Brighton visited the Emirates the following weekend. Again, we were on the wrong end of a poor performance and a poor result, losing 2-1. Martin Ødegaard's goal in stoppage time, too late to salvage anything from that game. We then travelled down to Southampton. Another really poor performance ended in a 1-0 defeat and took us right out of contention. We dropped down to 6th place. Things didn't get any easier either with a trip to European champions Chelsea in midweek. Maybe we were slightly helped by the fact that Chelsea had just played an FA Cup semi-final against Crystal Palace the previous weekend. And it proved to be a really exciting game as well. We ran out 4-2 winners. Eddie Nketiah recalled to the starting lineup at Southampton due to illness from Alexander Lacazette, scored 2 goals. Emil Smith-Rowe scored a great goal as well before Bukayo Saka put away a penalty in stoppage time, the first penalty he had taken since the Euro final the previous summer. So a great moment for him, and that victory moved us back up to 5th place. We then ended April back in the top 4 with a brilliant 3-1 victory against Manchester United at the Emirates Stadium. Nuno Tavares scored his first goal for the club early on before Saka converted his 2nd penalty in consecutive games. Man United did pull a goal back with Cristiano Ronaldo before half-time and then missed a penalty. Bruno Fernandes' spot kick came back off the post. That proved to be the turning point. We sealed the points not long after with a great goal from Granit Xhaka, his first goal of the season, to end April back in the top 4. So moving into the running in the last month of the season, we just had to see this out. 5 games left. Could we get the points we needed to finish in the top 4? The month started well with a hard-fought 2-1 victory at West Ham, which basically put them out of the running for the top 4. It was 2 goals from set pieces from Rob Holding and Gabriel sealed the victory there. We then beat Leeds at the Emirates in a rather strange game. We did lead 2-0 very early on, 2 goals again for Eddie Nketiah before Leeds were reduced to 10 players when Luke Ayling was sent off. But we didn't play particularly well after that. We failed to take our chances. Leeds pulled a goal back and could almost have snatched a victory right at the end. But we did hold on for a 2-1 victory to keep us in 4th place. We then faced 2 really tough games away from home, but we just needed to win one of them to put us really in control for that top 4. The first one was the big 6-pointer, the North London derby, postponed, of course, earlier in the season due to COVID cases at Arsenal. It wasn't a very good night for Arsenal, though. We lost that game 3-0, of course. Despite a good start, we did go behind a Harry Kane penalty, rather soft penalty it was, a slight push by Cedric on Son. Rob Holding was then sent off for 2 yellow cards, both fouls on Son before Harry Kane made it 2-0 before half-time from close range. We didn't really have any opportunity to get back into the game in the second half, and Tottenham sealed the victory with a goal from Son. We did remain 4th, however, and we knew that victories in our last 2 games would still seal that 4th place. Penultimate game of the season, our last away game was up at Newcastle. A victory would have put us into the last day, knowing a win would have sealed that 4th place, but it was a really, really poor performance from Arsenal, probably the poorest of the season. Although it was 0-0 for a long time, Newcastle did run out 2-0 winners. It was an own goal from Ben White early in the second half before Bruno Guimaraes, of course, a player who had turned us down in the January transfer window, scored the 2nd goal for Newcastle, which meant that the top 4 was now out of our hands going into the final game of the season at home to Everton. We started the day in 5th place, needing Tottenham to lose against Norwich. We did all we could do with a fairly comfortable victory against Everton, who had only just sealed their safety in the Premier League 3 days before. Gabriel Martinelli gave us the lead from the penalty spot, his 6th goal of the season, before Eddie Nketiah reached double figures for the season with a close range header before half-time. Everton did pull a goal back, substitute Donny van der Beek, but in the end Arsenal ran out comfortable winners. 2 quick goals from Cedric and Gabriel, both from corners. Gabriel's 5th goal of the season, the highest scoring Premier League defender, before Martin Ødegaard rounded off the season with a fantastic late goal to seal the 5-1 victory. But unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough to get us back in the Champions League. So overall, then, you've got to say that the improvements there for all to see. We've moved up from 8th place to 5th. We're back in Europe, back into the Europa League, which was the minimum requirement for the season. Yes, a lot of disappointments, a lot of defeats as well. 13 league defeats for the second season in a row. That's something that really needs to be looked at. A lack of goals, a lack of squad depth as well cost us, maybe not buying players in January, certainly not replacing the goal scorer in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang proved to be costly maybe in the end. And that's perhaps is the reason why we wasn't able to hold on and finish in the top 4. Yes, maybe it was a little bit early for this squad, but it would be massively important for the club moving forward to have finished in the top 4. The extra money from the Champions League, and of course we'll be able to attract a lot better quality of players. But it is what it is. We are back in the Europa League. We're back in Europe next season. We do need to improve the depth of the squad, certainly. We also need to improve the quality of that first team as well. We need to find a goal scorer from somewhere. We need to add a little bit more creativity. And we need to improve the defence. Despite spending all that money last summer on a lot of defenders, we conceded more goals than the season before, which was disappointing. We only ended up with a plus 13 goal difference as well. So these are all the reasons why we didn't make the top 4. But there has been improvements in certain aspects of the way that we played. We won a lot more games this season. We did get a lot more points as well. We finished on 69 points, which, isn't a bad total. We could have done with a couple more, couldn't we, in the end? And we could easily have got those as well. You look at some of those points that we dropped. One of the other issues as well is we don't seem to come from behind, do we? Only 4 points gained from losing positions this season. That was a late goal against Crystal Palace for a 2-2 draw. And then that comeback against Wolves, again, a late goal to win that game. But it's the only 2 games that we managed to pick any points up, having conceded the first goal. So that's something that we need to work on as well. But overall, it's not been a bad season. Frustration at the end, of course, not to have got the top 4. But we've got something there that we can build on, hopefully, for next season. But we do need a big transfer window. So that's it then for the 2021-2022 season. I say not the finish that we wanted, but ultimately we have achieved the minimum, which was, of course, to get back into Europe. A big summer coming and hopefully a better season ahead as well. Coming up on the channel, though, we will be doing a Tuesday clinic show. It won't be on Tuesday. We're going to do it on Friday this week. We're going to have some guests on to look back on the season, the highs and lows, give out a few awards as well, goal of the season, player of the season, all that kind of stuff. So that'll be on Friday at 7:30. So please join us for that. We then will maybe have a little break for a couple of weeks on the channel before we head into the Women's Euros. We'll be doing a lot of coverage of that this summer. Obviously, there'll be live watch-alongs of some of the games. There'll also be some vlogging as well, because I'm going to quite a few of the games in the tournament as well. So loads coming up on the channel. So if you do enjoy what we do, please give this video a like. Please share the content around, and don't forget, please consider subscribing as well. We are quite close to that target of 1,000. It would be nice to get there, wouldn't it, before the Women's Euros in the summer. So I say, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Try and get us up to 1,000 if we can. But thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support of the channel this season. It's been a long season, hasn't it? But it's been a good season overall. It's been a lot of good memories as well. And hopefully next season will be even better. So join us for that as well. But don't forget the season review show live on Friday, 7:30, with special guests joining us to look back on the season and give out our awards. But in the meantime, thanks for joining me. Don't forget, please like, share and subscribe. Come on, you Gunners. Come on. Let's improve for next season, please. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.